reflect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, do you not ponder over the ayat of Quran? Do you not think about the ayat of Quran, what you are reading? Are you reading, or are you reading and pondering over what you are reading? How much are we thinking when we read Quran? We can read Quran and not think anything. Or we can read Quran and ponder upon it. The ulama, the scholars say that it is better to read one verse of the Holy Quran and then think about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. Then to read a whole chapter or the whole surah of the Holy Quran without thinking even what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to say. It is better if you read one ayah a day, but to think upon what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, what the message of Quran is. Then to finish the whole surah or the whole juz and then not think anything. Why? Because benefit will only get to us, it will only benefit us when we think about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. What is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is conveying to mankind? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us again and again in the Holy Quran to become ulil albab, those who ponder, those who think. Or another place Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Do you not ponder, do you not think about what Quran is saying? Or there are locks on your hearts? In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, either you think about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Holy Quran, or there are locks on your heart. Not physical locks, of course, these are spiritual locks. In other words, there are people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that there are two criteria, there are two types of people. One type of people are those who think when they read Quran, and they ponder upon the message. The other type read like parrots. They become qari, they become reciters. They are the best, most beautiful recitation of Quran, but they are like parrots, because nothing goes under the throat, nothing goes in the brain. It is only a recycling of words on the tongue, laqlaqa, on the tongue. There is no meaning, there is no ma'rifah. And these were the type of people who came and stood against Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the day of Ashura. They said they are Muslims. They said we pray too. They said we recite Quran. Many of them were qari of Quran. Imam Hussein also had qariyan of Quran. Burayr Shaheed, for example, Shuhada of Karbala. He was one of the qaris. There were qaris from Kufa who died with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So both sides were reciting Quran, but one side was the one who had ma'rifah, and the other side there was a look on the heart. That they were reciting Quran, but nothing was entering in the heart. Why? Because there was nifaq in the heart. There was bughz of Ahlul Bayt in the heart. There was impurity in the heart. Quran is pure. Quran is nur. For nur to enter the heart must be pure from impurities. Otherwise this nur can never settle together inside an impure heart. The hearts of the Yazidis were impure, whereas the hearts of the Hussainis were pure. So when they recited Quran, it lightened the heart. It made the heart munawwar, full of nur. But when the Yazidis recited Quran, or when they shouted takbir, because when they killed Imam Hussein, they shouted takbir. After killing Imam Hussein, they said, Allahu Akbar. We have been victorious. But it was only a recycling of words upon their tongues. There was no meaning to it. There was no ma'rifah in it. And it was something which was recited without any form of understanding. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to think. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to have aql. Imam Hussein is Misbahul Huda, that he is the one who guides. And Imam is a guide. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also placed a guide inside us. What is that guide? That guide is aql. The power of intellect. The power of sanity. When someone is sane. When someone has intellect. When someone has intelligence. Allah has blessed mankind with intelligence. This quwwah of aql is only for the human beings, for insan. Animals do not have this quwwah. They do not have this power. Aql is such a fundamental principle or usul of the deen that even if you study the books of fiqh, the ulama of fiqh say our deen is based on 4 pillars: Quran, Hadith, Aql, Ijma'. In other words, the holy book, in English, holy book, prophetic traditions, Aql, intellect, Ijma'. Ijma' is the consensus of scholars. When the scholars come to a common and mutual agreement. Our deen is based on 4 in the usul of fiqh. However, there are certain Muslims who disregard aql. They say there's no need for aql. When you have Quran and Hadith, we take it at face value. But the mazhab of Ahlul Bayt says no. That if there's any Hadith that contradicts aql, then there has to be more test on that Hadith before we can accept such a Hadith. If any Hadith goes against Quran, if any Hadith goes against aql, it cannot be accepted straight away. There's a large possibility the Hadith is da'if. In fact, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq Imam Sadiq says that if you find any Hadith from us Ahlul Bayt, any Hadith from Ahlul Bayt which contradicts Quran, which goes against the Quran, فَضْرِبُوهُ عَلَى الْجِدَارِ, throw the Hadith on the wall. In other words, delete that Hadith. Why? Because no Hadith from Ahlul Bayt can contradict the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because whatever Allah says, Ahlul Bayt say. Whatever Ahlul Bayt say, Allah says. They go together hand in hand. There is no difference between the kalam of Allah and the kalam of Waliullah. They are one. Kalam of Allah is Quran. Kalam of Waliullah is the hadith that explain the Quran. So they go together. Imam said, if you find anything that disregarded if it contradicts the Quran. So Allah has said there are 2 types of hadiths. Imam Ma'soom and aql inside. Sometimes an Imam is not there, but you still have intellect. You still have aql. You know this is wrong. You have a feeling that what I'm about to do, there's a large possibility this is wrong. You have an inner feeling that this does not seem right. If you open our books of hadith, the most authentic book of hadith after Quran in the mazhab of Ja'fari, the mazhab of Shia, is Kitab al-Kafi. Like in the mazhab of the Ahl Sunnah, the Sunni brothers, the most authentic book after Quran is Sahih Bukhari. For us Shia, the most authentic book is Kitab al-Kulayni by Shaykh al-Kulayni, Ya'qub al-Kulayni. The first chapter, the first bab is Aql wal Jahl. Intellect and ignorance. That is how important Aql is. That Shaykh Kulayni, the first bab, the first chapter is Aql wal Jahl. And the riwayat, the hadiths are all from the A'imah Ahlul Bayt which speak about Aql and how insan has been honored with Aql. Insan is ashraful makhluqat. Why is insan ashraful makhluqat? Because insan has the power of intellect. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored human beings, has honored insan above the animals, has honored insan above the hajar, shajar, the trees, the stones, the plants, above the angels. Allah has honored human beings above malaika. Allah has honored human beings above the jinn. Why? Because they have the power of intellect.
MashaAllah.
Animals do not have the power of intellect. Animals have the power of ghadab, which is the power of anger. Animals have anger. Human beings too have anger. Animals have desire, the quwwah of shahwa. Human beings too have that desire. Animals have the power of waham, imagination. Human beings too have that. In the same way malaika have that, in the same way jinn. However, human beings have the power of intellect which animals do not have. So, human beings are higher. In fact, the jinn are lower than human beings because jinn do not have a nabi. Jinn do not have an imam. Their imam are imams of Ahlul Bayt. Imam Hussain is Imam al-Jinn wal-Ins. Amir al-Mu'mineen is Imam al-Jinn wal-Ins. Jinn refer to imams, imams who came down in the humanly form, like insan, but not insan like me and you. They were nur that came down in the form of a human beings. But the reality of Ahlul Bayt is nur. Jinns refer to Ahlul Bayt. Jinns refer to Anbiya, Rusul. In the same way, Malaika do not have a Nabi who's a Malak. There is no Imam who is an angel. The angels refer to Ahlul Bayt. The angels descend every Thursday night on the Qabr Mutahhar of Abdullah al-Hussain to do ziyarah and salam of Imam Hussain. Angels do not have an Imam. The Imams of the angels is Abdullah al-Hussain. Hence, insan is greater than all these creations according to the view of Quran and the views of prophetic narration. I give evidence from the Quran. Nabi Sulaiman had power over the jinns, yes or no?
Yes.
Nabi Sulaiman was given power over the jinns. Jinns were not given power over Sulaiman.
No.
In fact, Nabi Sulaiman had the power to punish disobedient jinns. Jinns that did not obey the command of Solomon, of Sulaiman. It is said that when Nabi Sulaiman built the holy temple, he would stand from his rooftop, from his balcony, and he would look down. And there would be thousands, an army of jinn who would be building the holy temple. It's a Quranic story, it's in the Quran, you can refer to the Holy Quran. And they would, when the jinns would be working, they would look up, is Sulaiman looking? And Sulaiman would be looking, and they would look down and continue working. This is how much they feared Sulaiman. Sulaiman was greater than the jinn. Sulaiman was Nabi, but he was in the human form. It is said that for years and years they continued to work until one day Malak al-Maut approached Sulaiman and took the soul of Sulaiman. And Sulaiman died in a standing position. He was holding on to the asa, the stick. And he stayed there for years. Until one day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down a small insect that began to eat onto the stick. Until eventually the complete stick was eaten and Sulaiman fell. But it is said when Nabi Sulaiman was no longer alive but he was standing, the jinn feared him so much they continued to work. Because whenever they would look up, they would see Sulaiman is looking at them. Until Sulaiman fell. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the jinn down and has lifted insan above them. They are to refer to them. In fact, when Ahlul Bayt were to be, when the vilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen was announced, even jinn came down to give bay'ah to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. A human being becomes angry. An animal becomes angry. What is the difference? A human being has desire, the quwwah of shahwa. An animal has desire. What is the difference? If the common powers are to be compared, we have commonalities, but human being knows how to control the anger. Human being knows how to control the desire. How? With the power of intellect. With the power of aql. That no, this is wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided a halal way for it. That no, that is wrong. The same can be attained through halal means. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not only given control, the religion of Islam has offered alternatives. The religion of Islam has given options. That if this and this isn't possible, there is another way around it. And this is why we find that the Quran speaks about jinn who are kuffar and jinn those who believed, who became Muslim. There were certain jinns that became mu'mineen, in fact, not just Muslimeen. Mu'mineen, certain jinn had wilayah of Ahlul Bayt. We find that when the Holy Prophet was going to war with Bani Mustalib, he stops at a valley. This is in Kitab al-Irshad, for those who want the reference. Shaykh al-Mufid, rahmatullah alayhi, in Kitab al-Irshad, the classic masterpiece of the history of 14 infallibles. Shaykh al-Mufid writes, the Holy Prophet stopped at a valley. Jibreel descends and informs the Holy Prophet, Ya Habib Allah, there is a group of jinn that want to kill you and your brother Ali ibn Abi Talib. In other words, these jinn are kuffar. These jinn are plotting against you, your brother Ali, to finish Islam. The Holy Prophet says, bring me Ali. Imam Ali is brought towards Rasulullah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The Holy Prophet informs, he says, Ya Ali, Jibreel descended and informed me that there are a group of jinn that are plotting against us. He says, take a few men from the Muslimin, go to such and such valley, such and such wadi, and fight the jinn. In other words, Amir al-Mu'mineen went to war with jinn. Ali ibn Abi Talib was not only a man whom the jinn pay allegiance to, Ali ibn Abi Talib was a man who did jihad with the jinn. Jihad fi sabilillah. Amir al-Mu'mineen obeys the orders of the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet says, leave towards the valley in the middle of the night, the darkness of the night. Holy Prophet says to them, O companions, obey Ali and follow Ali. In other words, the Holy Prophet will always make Ali as representative, whether it be in war or whether Rasulullah would go in war and leave Ali in Medina. Ali would always be the representative of the Holy Prophet. In the same way, Ali was a rep here. Ali is my rep. Follow Ali, obey Ali. They reach the wadi, they reach the valley. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib says to the companions, stop, I will go alone. He goes on top of the valley. It was a wadi where no one would go. It was a wadi of jinn. Amir al-Mu'mineen climbs to the top of the valley. It is said that as he climbs to the top of the valley, he begins to shout takbir. He begins to invite the jinn. It is said that a hurricane of jinn, a storm of jinn comes together in front of Amir al-Mu'mineen. So much so that the companions begin to fear for their lives and step back. Amir al-Mu'mineen takes out his sword. He invites them. He says, Ana Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ana akhi Rasulillah. I am Ali ibn, he talking to the jinn. I am Ali ibn Abi Talib. I am the wali and the wasi and the khalifa of Rasulullah. I invite you towards Islam. Either accept or I will do jihad against you. The jinn refuse. Amir al-Mu'mineen begins to descend in the valley with the sword in his hand. The companions narrate this. They say, we are watching. Ali ibn Abi Talib is descending in the valley. A valley is so fearful that no one wants to dare step into it. He strikes the sword in the hurricane to the right. He strikes the sword in the left, reciting the Ism al-A'zam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reciting ayat of Quran, striking the sword left and right. It is said the hurricane reaches its peak and all of a sudden the hurricane dies.
MashaAllah.
And Amir al-Mu'mineen raises takbir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Amir al-Mu'mineen returns to the top of the valley successful. Companions say, Ya Ali, we were fearing for our lives. How is it that you went alone and fought the jinn? Amir al-Mu'mineen says, let's return to Rasulullah. They return to the Holy Prophet. Holy Prophet rises and welcomes Ali and he says, Ya Ali, Jibreel has just informed me over your miraculous victory over the jinn.
MashaAllah.
Jibreel has given me the good news. And then he says to his companions, this is Ali, my wali, my wasi, my khalifa. And he said, oh Ali, even before you reached here, the jinn that you fought already came to me and gave me bay'ah. They gave me allegiance. The jinn that you fought have come and accepted Islam. Nafarun min al-jinn is the first ayah of Surah Al-Jinn. You can look in the Quran. A part of jinn who heard the beautiful recitation of Quran which was coming from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. They came to Rasulullah, they say, we accept Islam, we accept your nabuwa, and we accept the wilayah of your brother Ali ibn Abi Talib. And said, from this jinn, the leader of this tribe of jinn was Zafar jinn. He came into Karbala on the day of Ashura. On the day of Ashura, it is said when Imam Hussein called out, is there anyone for helping me? Is there anyone to save me? It is said the hurricane of jinn, Zafar jinn descended towards Abu Abdullah Hussain saying, Sayyidi Mawlai, give me hukum, give me order, permission, I will finish the army of Yazid. Imam Hussain says, no, return. This is between man and man. This is not between man and jinn. It was Ali ibn Abi Talib who fought them, and from them came the same jinn to save the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib on the day of Ashura.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
MashaAllah. Sisters,
But
Allah has placed aql inside insan. That aql is a form of hadi. No one can complain on the day of judgment that hidayah didn't reach us. Allah has given an imam who is alive, who is in ghaiba, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us aql. And to us Shia, Allah has given us wasila. A wasila that we can reach Ahlul Bayt. And dua is only reaching the arsh of Allah with wasila. Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wabtahu ilayhi al-wasila. O you who believe, come to me through wasila. Allah is saying, O mu'mineen, O believers, come to me, make dua, but use wasila. Use a form of intercession. Allah has given us so much. Aql is a hadi, but aql has an enemy. The opposite, that is the nafs. If aql says do this, nafs will say, nafs al-ammara, the evil soul will say, no, do that. In the same way, an imam has an enemy. Imam says, do this. But the enemy of imam is shaitan. Shaitan will say, no, disobey the imam, do that. Adam had an enemy, Iblis. Was he not the enemy of Adam?
Yes.
Iblis has smaller shayateen. Iblis has a party, Hizb al-Shaytan. The party of shaitan. These are smaller shayateen. In other words, every hadi has an enemy. Aql has an enemy, which is the nafs, which is the soul, in the evil soul. And imam has an enemy, which is the shaitan. Adam has an enemy, which is Iblis. In other words, whenever an imam instructs you to do something, whenever the Holy Prophet instructs you to do something, anyone who opposes is either shaitan or a follower of shaitan. Anyone who disobeys the commands of the Holy Prophet, anyone who disobeys the command of I'm Ahlul Bayt, he is either himself shaitan or a true follower of shaitan. In other words, he comes within Hizb al-Shaitan. And you find in Ahlul Bayt's history, in the Tariq of Islam, when the Holy Prophet was alive, the Holy Prophet would command people. The Holy Prophet would have to sometimes repeat 3 times, do this, and no one would do it. This is how mazloom the Holy Prophet is. That the Holy Prophet would instruct them to do something, and they would object the Holy Prophet. In other words, they would try to show the Holy Prophet that they are more religious than the Holy Prophet. Rasulullah is the one upon Wahi descends. Ibn Abbas narrates, it is known as the calamity of Thursday. Raziyat Yawm al-Khamis. It is said Ibn Abbas was once seen crying. Ibn Abbas, the famous companion, Mufassir al-Quran, student of Imam Ali, he learned tafsir of Quran from Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ibn Abbas was once asked, what happened on that day of Thursday? Ibn Abbas began to cry. He said Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was in his last and final moments. He was lying on his deathbed, very close to departing this dunya and meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is said that Rasulullah asked his companions to come around him, and he said, bring me a pen and paper so that I write for you something that will never lead you astray. Give me a pen of paper that I write for you something which will be a form of hadi, a form of guide. We're talking about hidayah. Whatever the Holy Prophet says is hidayah. Whatever the Holy Prophet does is hidayah. And whatever the Holy Prophet writes is hidayah. The Holy Prophet asks for a pen and paper. One companion rises and he says, Na'udhu billah, that we do not need your guidance. In other words, the Holy Prophet right now is delirious and he's talking nonsense. Wal-'iyadhu billah. He said the Holy Prophet to the Holy Prophet, we do not need such a guidance, a companion. In other words, it goes to show companions are not ma'soom. Companions are not infallible. The Holy Prophet said, bring me a pen of paper. This is the Prophet who doesn't speak without wahi. This is the Prophet who doesn't speak out of his own desire. The Holy Prophet does not have an impure nafs. The Holy Prophet is nurun ala nur. The Holy Prophet is sirajun munir. The Holy Prophet is da'iyan ila Allah. The Holy Prophet calls them. He says, bring me a pen and paper. They say, no, we do not need your advice. Hasbuna kitab Allah. The book of Allah is enough for us. In other words, trying to teach the Holy Prophet what is enough and what is not enough. What is good, what is not good. Do not teach a hadi. Do not teach a guide. Do not teach Quran. Quran will teach us. Hadi will teach us. Imam will teach us. It is said that such a commotion happened between the companions, such an argument took place. Half of them were on this side, half of them disagreed. It is said that the commotion reached such a level, the argument, the voices of the companions raised such a high level, the Holy Prophet said, leave. In other words, he asked them to leave the room. This is how upset the Holy Prophet was. Ibn Abbas says, I left the house of the Holy Prophet crying. And it was narrated by the Sahaba, the companions, they would say, since that day, Ibn Abbas was often seen crying, saying, what a Thursday, what a tragedy took place on that Thursday. The Thursday of the tragedy of Thursday. It is said, they say that, well, how do you know what the Holy Prophet was to write? We say, ask them, those who said the book of Allah is enough. Those who said the book of Allah is enough knew that the Holy Prophet is going to recommend something else along with the book of God. That was the book of God and the wilayah of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. The wilayah of Ahlul Bayt. That if you want to understand Quran, Ahlul Bayt will explain the Quran. If you want to see Quran in its practical form, Ahlul Bayt will show you that practical form. If you want to extract the fiqh from Quran, Ahlul Bayt are the teachers of fiqh. If you want to understand the ahkam of Quran, Ahlul Bayt will give you that ahkam of Quran. And there is no doubt that the Holy Prophet was not going to write anything except that after him, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was to be in charge. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was to be the Khalifa bila fasl, without any gap. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was that true wali Allah. There is no doubt. And those who knew, they knew very well, better than us. Hence they said the book of Allah is enough. We don't need anything else. They knew very well. And it's for this reason the Holy Prophet would face the Muslims again and again, and he would say, Ya Ansar, do you want me to show you a person who will never lead you astray? Do you want me to show you a person who will never misguide you? Do you want me to show you a person regarding whom I give guarantee? They said, yes, O Prophet of God, show us. He said, in that case, look, that is Ali ibn Abi Talib. Be the friend of Ali. Respect Ali. Obey Ali. For indeed, Ali is with Quran, wal Quranu ma Ali. Ali is with the Quran, and Quran is with Ali. Ali is ma'al haqq wal haqq ma Ali. Ali is with the haqq, with the right, and haqq is with Ali. This is Ali. Respect Ali, obey Ali, and be careful of your rights, be careful of his rights. He says to Ammar, oh Ammar bin Yasir, famous companion, pious companion, he says, oh Ammar, I give you the guarantee of Ali in this way, that if after me a fitna rises, corruption takes place, and you see that all of the companions go into one valley, all of the Sahaba go into one direction, and my brother, my nafs, Ali goes into one valley all alone. Ya Ammar, you leave them and go in the valley of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Oh Ammar, this is a guarantee from me, that if you see the whole world, all of the Muslims are going in one direction, But Ali is going in the opposite direction. Oh Ammar, go in that direction. Because haqq is something that follows the direction of Ali. Ali doesn't follow the direction of haqq. It is haqq that follows the direction of Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the maqam of Ali. This is the position of Ali. This is the caliber of Ali. This is the high caliber of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala
Everybody get up and go forward. Thank
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad plantan salawat.
Hence, thinking is recommended in Islam. The Holy Prophet said that 1 hour of thinking, 1 hour of tafakkur, 1 hour of analyzing is better than 70 years of worship. 70 years of ibadah on one side, 1 hour of thinking, tafakkur, tadabbur on one side. Imagine a man, 70 years of age. 70 years is not a small number. Ask those who have reached the age of 70, who have worshipped Allah for 70 years, who have done du'as and munajats for 70 years, who have gone to Hajj. But the Holy Prophet saying all of that is on one side, but 1 hour of thinking is on the other side, is on the side which is far greater than this, all of this. Why? Because an abid, a worshipper, who doesn't ponder and think upon his worship, doesn't benefit. But someone who may not be a worshipper, who may not be the most of practicing, the most of religious of people, but he thinks and ponders. At the end of the day, he thinks of the good that he has done. He thinks of the bad that he has done, and he analyzes his life. The Holy Prophet says such a man is better, because there's more chance, there's more room for improvement here. There's a far greater chance of self-change. And we find that self-change on Shab-e Ashur, on the night of Ashura. We find this type of thinking. Who does this thinking? Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Janab Hurr does this type of thinking. There comes a time, Hurr was someone who stopped Aba Abdullah al-Hussaini. But there comes a time that Hurr begins to think. Hurr begins to analyze his life. He begins to realize, where am I? What have I done? It is said that he stopped the horse of Aba Abdullah al-Hussaini, and he turned the face of Zuljana towards Karbala. Imam Hussain said to Hurr, Hurr, let us go. I have the women of Ahlul Bayt. I have the ladies, I have the women, I have the children. I will go in another direction. I will not pay allegiance to Yazid, but I will not come in your way. Let me go. We go in the other direction. Hurr says, no. It is the order of Ibn Ziyad that I bring you towards Karbala by any means necessary. Aba Abdullah says to him, Hurr, may your mother grieve over you. May your mother cry over you. When an Arab would say that, this was a form of insult. But you know what Hurr replies? Hurr says, Sayyidi Mawlai. If that was anyone else, I would have responded. But I know who your mother is. Your mother is Fatima. I cannot say the same to you. Hurr knew Fatima. Hurr knew Hussein is the son of Zahra. Hurr knew Hussein is the son of Ali. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt had a special attachment with Fatima. All of the Imams would cry for Fatima. And even the enemies knew. Ahlul Bayt have a special attachment with their mother Fatima. It is said once, a man, a mu'min, came to Imam, one of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, Imam Sadiq, and he said to him, Yabna Rasulillah, Allah has given me a baby girl. Allah has given me a daughter. Imam said, what did you name her? He says, I named her Fatima. Imam begins to cry. He begins to weep. He goes, if you have named her Fatima, never hit your daughter. Never slap your daughter. Never injure your daughter. For the name of Fatima is the name of my grandmother Fatima. Fatima the Mazluma, the Marhuma, the Shaheeda. Imams had a very deep attachment with Lady Fatima. This was the Fatima who was crushed between the door and the wall. But it is said that even Fatima in her final moments, in her final times, when she was on the deathbed, Imam al-Hassan comes to Fatima, Imam al-Hussain comes to Fatima, and they begin to cry, they begin to lament. But Zahra looks at her son Hussain and she says, La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. There is no day like yours, O Hussain. There is no musibah like yours, O Hussain. There is no tragedy like yours, O Hussain. For Hussain, you will be alone and gharib. It is said that on the night of Ashur, Hur was seen trembling. Hur was seen shaking. Hur was seen crying. It is said sometimes Hur would stand and Hur would sit. Hur would walk and Hur would return. Hur would come out the khayma and go in the khayma. Hur would look towards the sky and look down. Umar ibn Sa'ad sees that. He comes to Hur. He says, oh Hur, what is wrong with you? You are a champion. You are a warrior. You are a fighter. What is wrong with you today? He says, Wallah, Wallah, I find myself between heaven and hell. Inni ukhayru nafsi bayna al-jannati wan-nar. Allah, I find myself between heaven and hell. I find myself in a confused state. They said, what is wrong? They said, what will you do tomorrow, O Umar? What will you do? Umar says, tomorrow, Allah, we will cut the heads and we will chop the hands. We will finish Hussain. At that moment, Hur becomes revolutionary. But what really touched the Hur, you know what really touched Hur? That Hur left his tents and went to the camps of Hussain. There was a time that Hur heard that Umar ibn Sa'ad says, give water to the horses. Give water to the horses, for the horses are thirsty. This is something that really touched Hur. It is said, the Hur says to Umar, oh Umar, you give water to your horses when you can hear the screams of Al-Adash, Al-Adash, coming from the camps of Zainab, coming from the camps of Al-Aqil, coming from the camps of Ashab al-Hussein. You give water to your horses when the Prophet's family remain thirsty. It is said, Hur mounts his horse. Hur looks towards the khayma of Imam Hussain, and he with full speed and force he runs towards Imam Hussain. As he's coming towards Imam Hussain, Hazrat Abbas sees Hur coming. Abbas comes out and he says to Hur, stop, do not come close to the tents. But Imam Hussain stops him saying, Abu Fadil, Ya Abu Fadil, let him come, for he's coming towards us. Hur comes towards Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. Hur throws himself on the feet of Aba Abdullah. He says, Halli min tawbah. Oh Aba Abdullah, forgive me. Forgive me, for I am a criminal. Forgive me, for I made your women thirsty. Forgive me, for I am the one who brought you here. Imam Hussain hugs him. He says, Allah has forgiven you, O Hur. But Hur is not satisfied. He says, no Mawla, no Sayyid. No, I will not be happy until I ask for forgiveness from Zainab. Allow me to go to the tents of Zainab and Kulthum. Allow me to rub my head on the dust of Karbala and ask for forgiveness from Zainab. Imam says, go and ask for forgiveness. Hur comes towards the tents of Zainab. He said to Zainab, Ya Zainab, forgive me, I am Hur, I am the criminal who brought you here. I am the one who is responsible and allow me to go fight in the way of Allah. Zainab begins to cry. The women begin to cry. They say to her, you are forgiven. Bibi Zainab says, may my salams be upon you. It is at this time Hur mounts the horse. She says, Aba Abdullah, give me izn, give me permission to go and fight and be the first shaheed of Karbala. Imam says, go, may Allah be with you, go, oh Hur. Hur faces the battlefield. Hur fights them bravely. Hur kills many of the enemies, but there comes a time Hur is attacked from the left, Hur is attacked from the right, until all of Hur's power is finished and he comes on the ground. And he said, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein rushes to Hur. It is said he takes Hur in his lap and he says, Ya Hur, you are free like your mother named you. Fi dunya wal akhirah. It is said blood is gushing from the head of Hur. It is said the injury is so severe that Imam takes out a cloth from his pocket, which is the cloth of his mother Fatima. And he ties that cloth on the head of Hur and he says to Hur, oh Hur, may Allah reward you in akhirah with paradise. And Hur leaves the dunya, but I say to Hur, oh Hur, today Hussein came for your rescue, but in a few moments, Aba Abdullah will be on the ground. There will be no one to take Hussein in his lap. Hussein's body will be desecrated under the horses of Bani Umayyah. People will come and attack Hussein. Some will take his ammama, some will take his abba, some will take his rings. Hussein will lie on the ground of Karbala for 3 days and 3 nights. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.